The victims across Australia are giving evidence to the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse is harrowing. Former residents of the Retta Dixon home in Darwin, who described abuse at the hands of a house parent, say they're now afraid to go out and have been forced to give up their jobs.
Last September, Veronica Johns and her brothers Kenneth and Kevin Stagg gave the Royal Commission horrific accounts of their life in Darwin's Retta Dixon home. They were among dozens of stolen generation Indigenous children sexually abused there by Australian Indigenous Ministry staff and other children in the 1960s and 70s.
The children knew that Mr. Henderson was doing terrible things to their children in number 2 cottage.
And I lived in fear. I was always scared of the older boys that lived with us at Retta Dixon.
As adults, they've been getting on with their lives, but giving evidence to the Commission again dredged up the trauma.
People knew me as someone who was a confident, competent, with it person, and all of a sudden, you know, like, I'm getting sort of a bit upset now, all of a sudden, I wasn't that person because, you know, I had to bring out my vulnerable who I was. So, like, it was just like these mountains.
During the inquiry, Veronica Johns took to painting to deal with the stress, but it wasn't enough. She's had to give up her job as a Northern Territory Police call centre operator. Kenneth Stagg has resigned from his job as a bus driver.
Because we gave our name publicly, everyone said, oh, you know, I know that fellow, you know, and I'm driving a bus full of kids.
Since giving evidence, Veronica Johns fears going out alone. In the past, she'd been able to calmly deal with meeting former Retta Dixon carers and her abusers in public.
But now, since then, I don't want to do that. I don't want to even say hello. I don't want to even make any eye or body contact.
The family were offered counselling during the inquiry, but felt unsupported once the Darwin hearings ended.
I really felt that the Royal Commission itself didn't look after. I didn't feel like I was looked after.
The Commission says its counsellors keep in contact with victims, but are constantly having to take on new client groups. Counselling is still available from Relationships Australia.
We've got counsellors who are working with people from Retta Dixon still, and in fact I think we had 5 new referrals last week.
The family have decided not to join the class action for damages being pursued by about 50 other former Retta Dixon residents. They're planning to launch a separate legal case.
In some ways, it's pulled us together, but in other ways, it's pulled us apart, the Retta Dixon group, you know, because for me, you know, like, it's not the missionaries that were the abusers, it's the kids.
But while they contemplate their own future, they hope their evidence will lead to improvements in support and safeguards for children in care now.
Then they've got someone they can say, oh, I remember Veronica, Kevin and Kenny, they helped us to be safe.
The Commission will report on Retta Dixon later this year. Jane Barton, ABC News.